Hi, I'm Rick Dior, and today is a follow-up to the video I made a few weeks ago about the new Cocobolo rosewood sticks that I'm making. And actually, after I posted that video, I sold out of everything in a couple hours, which is great. I appreciate that, but I got a lot of orders and I wasn't able to keep up, so I apologize to those of you who've been waiting, but these are your sticks. I'll be sending them out today. I wanted to make this video and show them off before I send them all out. So these are all sold, but I'm going to be making them probably every 2 or 3 weeks. So if you want some, you can get on an order list that I have now. And then, I make them and I make as many as I can in a couple days or so, sometimes overnight, and then I'll send them out. But you may have to wait a few weeks. So I did get a lot of questions about these, and today the purpose of this video is to answer those questions so I don't have to answer a bunch of emails every day. So we'll go through these one at a time. The most common question I got was, are they all the same? In other words, are every pair of sticks exactly the same? And the answer to that is no, they are not. As you can see here, it's pretty much a kaleidoscope of colors. That's the way rosewood is. You have yellows and purples and blacks and browns and all kinds of beautiful things. That's what makes it so amazing as a wood. If you ever look at marimba bars, not the old stuff but the new stuff, well, I don't know how new, but I know my marimba was made by Marimba One, and I went down there to Arcata, California in the 90s and picked out my bars with Ron Samuels. And those bars are Honduras rosewood, which you can't get anymore, but it looks just like this. So this is not Honduras rosewood, but it's Cocobolo, which is a form of rosewood. It's got the same kind of coloration. So sometimes you'll see these little swirls here. You'll see limb marks, all kinds of things. They're not defects, they're just coloration. So you might get one stick that might be a little more purple than another, or a little more brown than another. There's really nothing I can do about that because I'm matching them to pitch and weight. And if I do that, I'll never really get a pair. It doesn't make sense to even make them. But I think that's part of the beauty, that they look so different. So both sticks aren't going to look exactly the same, but they're going to feel the same. The matched pairs will. Now, another question I got were people asking for display sticks. So I sell those for half price. So while I sell these right now for $100 a pair, that could go up in the future. But I'll sell the display sticks for $50 a pair plus shipping. So this is a set of display sticks I made someone, and they're heavy. You could use them to warm up for sure, but they're different pitches. And sometimes what you get when you're working with wood is certain wood is a little bit deader or has dead spots, so the pitch is going to be different. The weight is close on these, but I'd never sell these as a matched pair. That's why they're half price and they're sold as display models. All right, so if you're interested in a display pair, I may have them, I may not. So usually 1 out of every 10 pairs I make will have a dead stick, and those will be the display ones. So I can't promise I'll have them, but this is a pair that someone wanted. So while I was making these, I had a dead stick, so I made this pair, and they're gorgeous. They're just beautiful. But again, they're not matched. The rest of them are perfectly matched. So like, now remember, I always say this, always use the same hand when you're trying out sticks because your hands are going to sound different. Now these are reverse tip sticks, so I talked about these in the last video, and just so happened a lot of people wanted these reverse tips, and I don't blame you because they're great, but the barrel tips are also great. So one of the big questions I got, what's the difference between the two? So we'll talk about that briefly. So the barrel tips, which I have here, I'm not going to be playing with too many of these pairs because they're sold. So this pair I'm keeping for myself here. But the others I won't be playing with because I don't want to take a chance of hitting a rim shot or something, all right? But I do play every single pair. That was another question. I try them out, I pitch match them, I play a little with them, make sure they feel good. And if they don't feel good, I don't sell them. They go in the bin. Maybe I'll make a pen out of them or something later on. But I do, or if I can match them the way they look, display sticks. But I will not sell a pair that doesn't feel good to me. So the barrel tips are going to be a little less top heavy, just a little. And if you're using them for concert drumming, they're really, really articulate. So it's really easy to play very evenly and articulate, because especially with these, because they're heavy. All right. Now the reverse tips are great for rolls, closed rolls. Of course, this is a practice pad, so it's going to be a lot easier on a snare drum. And they are a little tiny bit more top heavy because there's more wood here. So the balance is a little more skewed towards the top. I really, really like this kind of stick. That's why I'm making so many of them. And I've bought other kind of reverse tips from other manufacturers that never felt right, but I kind of redesigned my own here. So the shape is different, the taper is different, and that's pretty much what I'm making with all my reverse tips. I make them in every single wood that I have, but I have made a lot in Cocobolo because a lot of people ordered all these reverse tips. So really, most all of these are reverse tips here. So another question I got are they all the same thickness and length? And the answer to that is no. I have sort of a formula that I use for weight and length and thickness. So I've discovered from doing this for years and years and years that there's sort of a magic number. Now, a lot of you will say, I want this length, I want that length. And I'll do that for you, but I can't guarantee the sticks are going to feel as good as if you let me do it. Because, again, I've been doing this forever. So if it's a certain weight of a stick, you want a certain length. Usually the heavier the weight, the little bit longer of length you're going to want. And especially the tip matters too. So the barrel tips can be shorter, but the reverse tips are going to be a little longer. Now longer, we're talking about maybe, 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 of an inch. So most of these sticks are about 16 3/4. A few of them, you'll see here, I don't know if it'll be clear in this camera, are shorties, I call them. So this was made for someone who wanted 6 1/4. So these are reverse tips. Now this is a lighter pair. I don't have a lot of this wood light that's not heavy, in other words. But I believe these are 72 or 73 grams. And so he wanted the shorter pair, and they feel great, but I did have to make them a little thinner and lighter. They're lighter. So they're still going to feel good. We're not talking, like I said, about a lot of length here. I will never make a stick over 17 inches. I feel that's too long. The stick starts to wobble. The other thing about Cocobolo, it's a very resonant wood. That's why it's used for a lot of guitars and musical instruments. It could be used for marimba bars if it wasn't so dang expensive. And the point of it is, the thinner it is, it'll start ringing on you. It'll sound like a pitch. And you probably don't want that. That might drive you crazy on a practice pad, especially a rubber pad for those of you who play on a rubber pad. So I'd recommend, going a little thicker, and that's what I do. So most of these sticks are around 5/8, and maybe a hair thicker, maybe a hair thinner. But a few pair here I made, these ones most notably, were a little thinner. So, and let's see if they ring. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's barely perceptible. All right, so these will be fine. And they feel great. So, yeah, I think the customer will be completely happy with those. So that's that question about the length. I do not make them all the same. It's more about the weight, and I have some formulas that I use. So I write everything down, every pair of sticks I've ever made. I have the formula for it. How they felt, and some of them don't feel good. I spend a good bit of time experimenting, a lot experimenting, and most of those experiments are failures. But over all these years of experimenting, so many hours, so many pairs of sticks, I've really learned what works and what doesn't. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Do I have to write my name on them? So that question was referring to the signature that I laser engrave into these. Hopefully you can see those. If not, I'll put a picture. So it says handcrafted by Rick Dior. So I do this on all my sticks because for one reason only, years ago when I started making them and sending them out, I was selling them pretty cheap. And there was one guy who was buying a bunch of them. And turns out he was putting his name on there and selling them at a markup. And that really made me angry. And it actually happened with my father with the National League Baseball symbol, which he designed, and someone else had claimed to do it for so many years. So it really kind of triggered this thing in me. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to buy a laser engraver, which is not cheap, and I'm just going to engrave every pair of sticks so this can't happen. So I do that on every pair of sticks, and I will always do that. Because what happens is other people will take credit for your work and they'll sell it, and it's that kind of world, and we have those kinds of people. All right, so the answer to that is yes, I will always put my name on it. Now, I could put my name in a different place if you want, but I wouldn't recommend putting it anywhere else but the butt because your grip is going to be above that, and you won't feel it. Okay, so you should be fine. And most manufacturers put something on their sticks for the same reason. They don't want anyone else, you know, basically reselling them as their own. Next question. I already answered the reverse barrel tip. How long does it take to make them? It depends. These Cocobolo sticks take a while to make. Of course, I have to cut up the wood, and it doesn't come like cut up. So I actually took out this plank here I wanted to show you. This is something I just purchased for quite a bit of money. This is beautiful curly purple heart, which you never see. And I'm going to make sticks out of this and have them for sale probably in about 6 months. And purple heart is a tricky wood to work with. It burns, but I think I got it figured out. I pretty much have the sharpest tools. I've sharpened these tools so sharp that if I touch them with my finger, it punches right through there. So hopefully that won't burn. But one thing I do want to do is make some more purple heart because people ask for it all the time. And so I'll start doing that out of this particular plank, which is 2 inches thick. And I don't know what my yield will be, but you see there's defects. I don't know if you can see that. So a lot of that's waste. So, you know, a lot of the stick making, like I talked about last time, you get a lot of waste. And this other board here is what's called Caribbean rosewood. Hopefully you can see that. It's a beautiful wood, a little browner than this stuff. So I'm going to start experimenting with this. But this is the way I buy these planks. And a lot of times they're bigger than this, and they are heavy. So this one probably weighs about 40 pounds. God. All right. Hope that won't fall on me. And so I have to cut it up on the table saw and then make sure it's dry. So if it's not really dry, I'll let it dry for quite a while, put it in the kiln. And then I make dowels, and then I make the stick. So it's a process. So how long it takes to make a pair of sticks is kind of a, you know, it's a difficult thing to ascertain. But once it's on the lathe, it takes me about an hour or so to make a pair of sticks. So that answers that question. How do I order them? On all these videos, I put the description in the description. You could just email me. If you want to order them, email me. I'm making these videos so you won't ask me a ton of questions. And also I have a website on the sticks. It's rickdior.com. And you'll see a sticks tab on there. Just click on that. It's got lots of pictures and information. If it's a question that's not on there, then absolutely feel free to do it. But I do not have time to get into a 20 email chain with really anybody these days. So if you can just watch the video all the way through and read the description and go on the website, that should answer most of those questions, especially how to order them. But if you do want to order them, you can just email me and tell me what you want. And if you have a few little questions there, like if you want your name engraved on them, stuff like that, we'll go back and forth a few times. But But sometimes, like I said, I look at these emails and I have like 30 emails, and then they don't end up buying anything. So I end up wasting a ton of time, and which I don't necessarily have. So please read all that stuff before you do that. And don't call me on the phone. Some of you have tracked down my phone number. I guess it's easy to do these days, but I won't answer your call. I don't want to be a jerk, but again, I don't have time to do that. So just email me. Eventually, I'll get back to you. All right. Is it poisonous? So after I made that comment on my last video about this wood being a sensitizer, in other words, like poison ivy or something where you get it on your skin, and it is, okay? And you might see on my forehead I have all these bumps still from the first go around where I wasn't protected, and so now I'm fully protected when I make these. So when it's raw wood and it gets on you and you're sensitized to it like I am, it can be really dangerous. Like you can get very sick if you inhale it. You can look that up online. It's well documented. But once it's done and dry and finish on it, no problems. I promise. There's not been one person or me and I'm sensitized to it when I use it. You won't have a problem because it's finished. It's dry. It's not oily anymore. So it's not going to be an issue. And there's many woods like that. Black Wenge, which is right here, is a wood that does the same thing. And I've been using this for 20 years now and never a problem. Okay, so yeah, it's not an issue once the wood is finished and treated. I think that's it. Oh, what are the weights? So the weights vary with this wood, huge variation. Anywhere from 65 to, now I've discovered I made a 110 gram stick the other day out of a really heavy piece of heartwood of this, which is nuts. I mean, it's basically a weapon. So nobody's going to buy that unless they're like 7 feet tall. But I did make a pair. I got them sitting there. But these sticks are going to basically range now that I've used most of the sapwood. And by the way, this is sapwood. It's yellowish or orangish for this. Sapwood's lighter, but I pretty much almost used that up. So most of the sticks now are going to be in the, maybe 74 gram range all the way up to 100 grams. So these are going to be heavier sticks. So just know that don't order a pair of 65 or 60 gram Cocobolo sticks, because unless I make them like toothpicks, and again, if I do that, they're going to resonate. So unless I do that, they're going to be heavier. So this is a heavier stick. It's great for concert playing and warm-up playing, but it's not a drum set stick. And I got that too. Can I use these for drum set? You can use it for whatever you want, but they're expensive, and once you start hitting cymbals, they're going to be dented, and then they're not going to match perfectly. And I don't know. I don't want to see them, get all messed up. But if you want to do that, absolutely, that's your prerogative. So I hope that answers all these questions. And for those of you who bought these in the last couple weeks, these are your sticks, and they'll go out today. And I'll be making some more in a few weeks if anyone's interested. I do have plenty of other sticks in stock that are leopard wood, black wenge, pecan. I think that's pretty, tiger wood, a lot of tiger wood. No more zebra wood, like I said. And I'm going to have some purple heart soon, hopefully. These will be beautiful. When I do that, I'll start posting videos of these things as I make them when they're available for sale, so you know. But if you do want a pair, you can order them now, and then it'll be a couple weeks out, and I'll get it done, and I'll get them out to you. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.